Hey guys! So today I wanted to talk about angel families. Angel families are what the president calls
American victims of illegal immigration. You know, you hear the other side, you never hear this side.
The president has never sugarcoated his views on undocumented immigrants. But his new approach and policy finally backfired on him and managed to piss everyone off. Although all of the criticism caused him to roll back on his policy, he's still out here trying to justify his initial action. But this time, he used a smarter approach, one that people can't easily criticize. He brought families to the White House who had children that have died at the hands of undocumented immigrants. They even brought huge pictures of their kids, autographed by the president, of course. These families were hosted by Trump and the vice president to share the stories that, quote, the media ignores.
These are the families the media ignores. They don't talk about them. Very unfair.
And those stories are about how their kids died at the hands of undocumented immigrants.
January 22nd, 2015, Grant was at work on his overnight shift. An illegal alien came in, wanted to buy cigarettes. This man pulled a gun. Grant did everything he was supposed to do and gave him the cigarettes. The man went ahead and executed him and shot him point blank in the face.
The president starts off his introduction by saying that these are the families that are permanently separated from their families.
These are the American citizens permanently separated from their loved ones. The word permanently being the word that you have to think about, permanently. They're not separated for a day or 2 days. These are permanently separated.
And some of the angel parents echo this when they share their stories.
We weren't lucky enough to be separated for 5 days or 10 days. We're separated permanently.
This is permanent separation.
Our separation, like everybody has said, is permanent.
They also echo the president's narrative that the media as a whole is biased for not dedicating more coverage to their stories.
The mainstream media does not let you know what's really happening.
I wish some of our media had the same integrity as our president, our vice president.
But let's move on with the video.
I couldn't protect him because an illegal alien from Guatemala with 2 felonies, 1 deportation, 2 DUIs, he was protected. Riverside, California, sanctuary.
According to Kevin De Leon, who was the author of the sanctuary bill, that makes the state safer. If you keep the federal police, federal law enforcement over here, and you keep the state law enforcement here, that makes the state safer. That's absurd. It's outrageous.
As a result of sanctuary city policies in fiscal 2017, more than 8,000 criminal aliens were in police custody and were released.
The president and the families here talk about how sanctuary cities protect criminals, but if you look at the California Sanctuary State Bill that was just signed into law by Governor Jerry Brown, it exempts the undocumented immigrants that the president is talking about. So no, sanctuary cities, at least in California, don't protect criminals. This next story talks about the death of Sarah Root. She was killed by drunk driver Edwin Mejia in 2016. Edwin was then arrested for motor vehicle homicide, but let go after only posting $5,000 bail. This is when Edwin headed for the hills, and he hasn't been seen since. The police department apparently told ICE about this guy, but ICE said that they didn't go after him right away because he wasn't an enforcement priority. The judge at his bond hearing was also apparently not informed that Edwin was a potential flight risk or that he failed to show up to court before. Unfortunately, Sarah lost her life to a trash person, and this ends up being one of those tragic stories of the local government failing to deliver justice. This is what Sarah's mother had to say about her daughter's story.
My daughter, Sarah Root, was killed within 24 hours after graduating with a bachelor's, 4.0 in criminal investigations, out celebrating, stopped at a stoplight and rear-ended by Edwin Mejia going 70+ miles an hour. He was arrested, but then he paid a $5,000 bail, and now he has fled.
The rest of the showcase pretty much goes on like this with similar tragic stories, but if you want to watch the whole thing for yourself, I will link the video down below. My opinion on this whole thing is that I feel terrible whenever someone loses a loved one, especially in a violent tragedy like what the Angels families faced. Which is why I don't blame these parents that are so frustrated by our immigration system that failed to deliver justice to them when they should have had it. But that shouldn't be justification enough to dehumanize an entire group of people. Undocumented people as a whole are being stereotyped by a lot of media outlets. whether they're being portrayed as criminals or helpless victims. I can understand if the president wants to call MS-13 animals.
These aren't people. These are animals.
But the undocumented community as a whole deserves a better title than alien.
Criminal, illegal aliens.
Illegal aliens.
Illegal alien.
The invaders.
Illegal aliens.
For example, former Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski was on Fox News last week talking about the family separation policy when this happened.
I mean, look, I read today about a 10-year-old girl with Down syndrome who was taken from her mother and put in a cage. I read about a
Corey claims that his comment was directed towards Zach for, quote, using a girl with Down syndrome to politicize an issue.
Chris, of course I never meant to insult anybody with Down syndrome. And who I was talking to was Zach. And I understand what the perception is here and what the media wants to talk about. But what Zach was attempting to do was to use a child with Down syndrome to politicize an issue.
On a side note, he tried to claim that Obama passed the original immigration separation bill in 2008, but he wasn't even president until 2009.
Problem.
Who signed the
And so this president's
2008 law that guides today? Who signed it?
Barack Obama.
Wrong. 2008, it was signed by President Bush, okay?
Now that I've summarized the event, the note that I want to end on is by suggesting some humane solutions to the problem of illegal immigration. I think that we should be actively working with Mexico and other Central American countries to try to address the problems that's making people want to flee their home countries in the first place. And I know that the president isn't too fond of globalism, but we have to work with other countries so that we could find asylum for the people that come over and we could address the problems that's causing it in the first place. We could also be prosecuting the people that employ undocumented immigrants rather than the immigrants themselves. Like, we should be coming down harder on the people that are incentivizing this immigration crisis rather than coming down so hard on the people that are just chasing after the opportunities that are offered to them. I could talk about this all day, but it's already like 4 a.m. here. Thank you guys for watching. Please do share your opinion with me. Let me know what you think. Like, I want to see some engagement and stuff. Leave them in the comments, please. And I look forward to a new video where I talk about something else that's not as sad or like divisive.